Ramon Ray, your host. We got a lot in store for you today. Sit back, listen, take some notes, and or just go to zoneofgenius.com and read our summary of today's brand new episode. What are we going to talk about today? Content calendars. People say you should do them for your content, but my friend Robert Kennedy III says, wait a minute before you do that. Content calendars. We're going to talk about Mark Zuckerberg's vision of the world for a super intelligence. We're going to recap that. Personal super intelligence, says Mark Zuckerberg, and what that may mean for the world. We're going to talk about how do you handle a crisis. Lamar Tyler, my coach, talks about the time that he heard that Magic Johnson couldn't come and how his team was able to reinvent themselves, or rather reinvent for that moment to do something different. 3 startup mistakes. I always love hearing personal stories for fellow entrepreneurs. We're going to hear from Andrea Klein Thomas of how she was starting her business and some mistakes she made in that and more. So welcome to a brand new edition of the Rundown with Ramon. If you're listening to me, do me a favor and say hi. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're listening. Whether you're listening to the on-demand version of the Rundown with Ramon or listening to it live, do me a favor and say hello. So let's jump right in to today's episode of the Rundown with Ramon, brought to you by our friends at Bitdefender. Bitdefender Small Business. It's amazing. When you go home at night, go home during the day, you click, lock the door of your house. When you get in your car, go shopping, go to a friend's house, go to the beach, beep, beep, you lock the door of your car. When you go to your business, you built the business, you have the passion, you put blood, sweat, and tears into it. Your family's depending on you. And maybe it's not your business, maybe you're working for a company. Either way, don't you want to make sure that business, don't you want to make sure those digital assets, don't you want to make sure all that you put in that business, your customer data, your client data, your employee data is secure? Well, you can do that with Bitdefender Small Business to make sure that you're protected from malware, from spyware, from ransomware, from all the nasty little things that will come your way. So again, welcome to the brand new edition of the Rundown with Ramon, brought to you by our friends at Bitdefender Small Business. Get to know Bitdefender at bitdefender.com and click on boop the small business link. Glad you're here. So I got an interesting note about a client that wasn't paying, and I wanted to dive into this today and touch on what do you do if a client doesn't pay. Now, there's many various variables around, and I'm going to assume that most people are not nasty and bad people. I'm going to go based on that most people are not bad, that we're not talking about criminals who are really going into the deal to not pay you. Let's go from there. Here's a few things that you may want to keep in mind. One, is this a new client or a recurring client? If it's a new client, there's things that you may not know about them, things they may not know about you, and it's really hard to understand really the relationship because it's new. If it's an existing client and they have paid you money, you've done good service, most likely the idea of them not paying you is going to go less because there's a built-in trusted relationship. So that's one. Number 2 to think about, most things with payment, I would guess, is a communication issue. Something broke down in communication, and part of that communication could be a technical payment issue. You weren't paid not because Jenny, the main client contact, didn't want to pay you, but because Jenny didn't get to the paying division, accounts payable, the right paperwork. You didn't fill in the right paperwork, whatever it is, that didn't didn't reach the right team properly, so you weren't paid properly. And then another thing that comes to mind is, when do you cut your losses? And I would say never. I would say that you can build in a automated reminder to automatically, and QuickBooks can do this for you. I'm sure that Zoho Small Accounting could do this for you, and I'm sure other platforms can, to automatically have the client be reminded that they owe you money and they need to pay you. And do this over and over again. But I find that if you want to make sure you increase your probability of being paid, one, make sure that you take some money up front. Number 2, get permission to, hey, at this date, we will automatically charge this credit card. And number 3, I think, keep clear communication open. Oftentimes it's a communication issue that didn't go right. Now, what happens if the client asks for multiple revisions after revisions after revisions after revisions after revisions, and you feel that there's something kind of else going wrong and there's some difficulty there? sometimes you got to cut your losses. And hopefully you didn't get strung on and on and on and on. But sometimes you have to keep a stiff upper lip and say, listen, we love working with you, but just so you know, we'll have to receive payment before you do more work. So I hope that little tidbit is helpful. We'll talk more about that at zoneofgenius.com. But I wanted to spread this light on this little nugget today on the Rundown with Ramon. Not being paid is not cool. We all need to be paid for our services. And to those clients who are stiff arming people, don't do that. Pay your bills. Pay your bills on time. And if there's an issue, some reason that you're not happy with the service, something you think is wrong, be clear about it. But don't be nefarious. Don't be an evil actor and not pay people. Again, everybody, my name is Ramon Ray. This is the Rundown with Ramon. In just a few hours, you can go to zoneofgenius.com and get more tips on what to do if a client doesn't pay you and more on today's episode of the Rundown with Ramon. Check that out at zoneofgenius.com. Ding, 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 ding. Interesting insight from my friend Robert Kennedy III. You can see him at Robert Kennedy III, 3, I believe it is, .com, robertkennedy3.com, or RK3. Just look him up, Robert Kennedy III, a motivational keynote speaker. And he said something interesting in his LinkedIn post of today. Ooh, where is that post and why can't I find that? Come on, Ramon, bring this up. You're live and zillions of people are watching you. Anyway, here's what he said. He said he doesn't rely so much on a content calendar, but then in a way he said he does. And here's the thing. Content calendars are good, but the issue with content calendars that Robert Kennedy was advising us to be careful of, you want to make sure you don't just have stale content. Inject some life into it, inject some interest into it, inject something personal into it so it's not just the same stale old content that feels quite robotic. As you're thinking of your social media post, as you're thinking of your blog post, as you're thinking of your content post, you want to be sure there's life into it. So, Robert, I guess his advice, I don't have it right in front of me. I lost it here. I should have had it up to get his exact words. But I believe where he was going with this is saying, hey, content calendars are great. It's great to do your content ahead of time, but leave room for serendipity, leave room for what happens in the moment. You have a content that's scheduled coming up in 2 weeks that says, hey, the world is a great place. And then a huge tragedy happened in the world. Maybe that one you want to hold off on, or maybe you want to add something meaningful, contextual to the moment in that. So tip of the day here, content calendars are good. It's great to schedule content, get your content done ahead of time. It's great to do that. But Robert Kennedy III's advice was also leave room for serendipity and leave room for real world action. Again, everybody, my name is Ramon Ray. This is the Rundown with Ramon. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, you're liking this content, do me a favor, comment, like, let me know you're there. Let me know you're listening. Kind of a new time. I'm here in the West Coast. And so 7:30-ish PST is a little later in the day. EST. But I'm glad you are here, whether you're listening to us live or you're listening to us on demand. Glad you're here on today's Rundown with Ramon. And you can get this insight at zoneofgenius.com coming up in the next few hours. So glad you're here today on the Rundown with Ramon. Ding, 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 ding. Now, one thing that happened in the news of the day, Mark Zuckerberg's vision for a world where he called personal super intelligence. Now, I'm not saying that this is great. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying this is high or low, whatever it is. But I think it's interesting that Mark Zuckerberg wrote a kind of a, what do they call this? Epiphany. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. But basically, there's two paths, as I'm summarizing this, that he's saying people can go. We can live in a world where people are typing, and being prompted, and prompts are coming out. Or he's saying living in a world where there's the meta glasses and our watches possibly and other things where the bots around us already sense and know who we are, what we like, what we want. And before we even have to ask it, they're prompting us. So for example, let's say that the bots are all around us in the future and they're saying that we're clicking and going and viewing and looking at many things all related to safaris. Maybe the bot will prompt us, and yes, there could be advertising infused in there, prompt us and say, hey, listen, we notice you're into safaris. Would you like us to scout out and plan a trip for you? And I notice you're having a new baby, and integrate how that new baby can go with you on a safari to Kenya. So Mark Zuckerberg says that the last few months, we begin to see glimpses of our AI systems improving themselves. This is talking about Facebook. The improvement is slow for now, but undeniable. Developing super intelligence is now incited, especially as analysts are saying with quantum computing, which will take things to the next level. Mark Zuckerberg reading his manifesto, it says it seems clear that in the coming years, AI will improve all our existing systems and enable the creation and discovery of new things that aren't imaginable today. That is true. But it's an open question what we will direct superintelligence towards. And I like that. What we'll direct it towards, as Seth Godin has said, we humans have to control how we use it and what we have this technology do or don't do. He says, in some ways, this will be a new era for humanity, but in others, it's just a continuation of historical trends. As recently as 200 years ago, 90% of people were farmers growing food to survive. Advances in technology have steadily freed much of humanity to focus less on subsistence and more on the pursuits we choose. So technology has enabled us, compared to 200 years ago, that we don't have to go outside and farm and farm and farm and work under the sun just to survive. Technology enables a lot of that to be done faster and easier with less people. At each step, people have used our newfound productivity to achieve more than we previously thought possible, pushing the frontiers of science and health. And he goes on and on. Mark Zuckerberg says he's extremely optimistic that superintelligence will help humanity accelerate our pace of progress. And he goes on. As profound as the abundance produced by AI may one day be, an even more meaningful impact on our lives will likely come from everyone having, here's the word of note, a personal superintelligence that will help you achieve your goals, create what you want to see in the world, experience any adventure, for a better friend to those you care about, and grow to become the person you aspire to be. This sounds very futuristic. It sounds maybe scary to some, but when you think about it, just a few years ago, we were looking at Star Trek movies at little personal communication devices like, ooh, that seems scary, but I don't want one of those. I don't want to lose touch with friends. And now all of us have a cell phone in our pocket, our hand, or our handbag. Mark Zuckerberg goes on and says Meta's vision is to bring personal super intelligence to everyone. We believe in getting this power in people's hands to direct it towards what they value in their own lives. Now, here's the distinction, the difference, he says. This is distinct from others in the industry who believe super intelligence should be directed essentially towards automating all valuable work, and then humanity will live on a dole of its output. Mark Zuckerberg is saying here's the difference with Meta. At Meta, we believe that people pursuing their individual aspirations is how we have always made progress, expanding prosperity, science, health, and culture. This will be increasingly important in the future as well. The intersection of technology and how people live is Meta's focus. I would go on and on and on with this. Let's see what the last paragraph says. Meta believes strongly in building personal superintelligence. This word is said more than once here, that empowers everyone. We have the resources and the expertise to build the massive infrastructure required and the capability and will and will to deliver new technology to billions of people across our products. Rarely do I read something that long and I think that depth, but I think it's important. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder and CEO of Facebook, one of the largest technology companies in the world, largest companies period in the world, driving a lot of what we read and see and do and et cetera for billions of people, combined with you have a company like Amazon that we all buy from every single day, combined with a company like Microsoft, which powers many of the back end operations of businesses. This is an important statement, this aspect of personal super intelligence. What does this mean for me? What does it mean for you? Alexandria Nicole, glad you're here on the Rundown with Ramon. Thank you for being here. Always good to see you. So something we should chew on, something we could think on, and talking about Meta. Meta has growing, their stock is soaring, their revenue is soaring. Meta smashed revenue expectations, sending shares up 12%, which is huge in pre-market trading. Now, Nicola Mendelsohn, she talks about why this is important. A few highlights: ranking improvements, enhancements to our recommendation systems improved quality so much that it led to a 6% increase in time spent on Instagram. And this is true. I'm seeing more and more Instagram is feeding me what I want. It's going to keep time on site. And if time is on site, this goes directly to what Meta's money revenue is ads. Advertising, omni-channel ads. Recent tests showed advertisers using omni-channel ads saw median 15% reduction in total cost per purchase, which is exactly what should happen. And omni-channel ads, of course, means the different ways that you can do advertising. whether it's through feeds, whether it's through banners, whether it's through this, through that. AI powered recommendation model for ads expanded to new surfaces and improved its performance by using more signs and signals, rather, more signals in a longer sequence. It's driven roughly 5%. That's huge. More ad conversions on Instagram and 3% on Facebook feeds and reels. Meta is using AI in its own business to better serve ads to us. And I don't think that's a bad thing. When I'm scrolling on Instagram, scrolling on Facebook, scrolling on any platform, I want them to serve me an ad that is better for me. Meta Lattice drove nearly 4% improvements in ad conversions and improved efficiency on Facebook Reels, home feed, and mobile feed. And it goes on. Basically, the word of the day today from Meta, from Facebook, is ads, 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 AI, AI, AI. And it is working. Yeah, and you're right, Kashan. Glad you're here today. This is interesting insights for sure. Something we need to all think about and consider. I know there's many people resisting the push of AI, resisting the push of technology in our lives, and I get it. I get it. But the train is not moving. So for me, when I see this, is how can I use AI to improve my personal life? How can I use AI to be more healthy? How can I use AI to have better personal relationships? How can I use AI to understand my faith better? Who knows? I think it opens up a load of possibilities to enjoy life better, as Mark Zuckerberg said. And I think he gave a great point about farmers. Years ago, we were an agricultural based society with most of us, not me, of course, 200 years ago, but people outside. And you wake up in the day just thinking how you have to hunt, how you have to grow and get food for that day. That's all your existence is. Today, you have most people getting in a car, driving on an hour, half an hour to work, coming back an hour, being in an office for 9, 10 hours a day, spending 12 hours of your day outside of your home. I wonder, can AI make our day more smarter, make it better, help us enjoy and do the things we want? My sister's with her family right now on a vacation. Can AI help her enjoy that more, do more, and maximize that time? These are the things that Mark Zuckerberg is saying technology can do, or his vision for a world to that. And I think it's something that's not going to leave. I don't want to push back on that because of my fear of technology, because of my fear of AI, because I know many had those fears as well as the phones were coming out, as other technologies were being birthed. Let's move on. Ding, 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 ding. My business coach, Lamar Tyler, had an interesting post on LinkedIn. Check out Lamar Tyler. And he says this, oh, it's interesting how when you click on something and scroll, how LinkedIn changes the feed. That's what happened to my other post that I was looking at with Robert Kennedy. But here's what Lamar Tyler says. Here it is. I just pulled it up. He says he was on stage and he looked up and saw a message from his team, not on stage, but he saw a message from his team that said that um, Magic Johnson could not come to a big event called Traffic Sales and Profit. His plane was delayed because President Trump and President Biden were going to be in a debate a year or two ago, and his plane was delayed, couldn't make it. So his team said, I came across the street. So his team said, they tried everything. It says basically, could he fly commercial? No. Could he land somewhere else and drive? No. Could we reschedule? No. He's leaving straight for his annual Italy yacht trip. So what do? We got on a call with the folks who book our speakers and went over our options. Damon John is available. Perfect. Let's do it. And they had Damon John. So here's the things that Lamar Tyler is saying, what to do in a crisis or when things don't go your way, when things collide and you don't know what the options may be, or you have options, but you don't know what to do. One, he says, keep your cool. This is what Lamar Tyler says. Keep your cool. Don't be in a panic. Number two, control the story. We told only 3 people, me, my ops director, our ops director, and our ops director, and our head of video. No one knew it, that Magic Johnson wasn't coming. Only 3 people. Control the story. And number 3, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Damon John is available. He'll do whatever it takes to get there. I didn't have time to plan a whole new program or interview, but we'd already done our due diligence for a future event, so we knew what we wanted to do. I'm going to recap that. What to do in business or in life. 1, don't panic. Number 2, I like what Lamar is saying here. Control the story. You tell a little bit that's happening to a lot of people, they make their own assumptions about it. And number 3, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I already have some options of how you would flow and have you work. So at the end of the day, Lamar Tyler is saying, hey, listen, we heard that Magic Johnson wasn't coming. That's a big deal. His face and name were plastered all over. But Lamar Tyler was still able to serve the audience, still able to be ready. because he's always a man who stays ready. Everybody, my name is Ramon Ray. This is the Rundown with Ramon. Glad you're here today. Thanks for joining me. What to do when crisis hits your way. Stay cool, control the story, and always be ready. So you're always ready for anything that can come. Ding, 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 ding. Next up, interesting insight here about some things that you should know as a startup marketer. Hearing this insight from Andrea Klein. Andrea says this: when I left journalism and started building something new, I made a few expensive, exhausting, and avoidable mistakes. Here are three big ones that I now help others avoid through the next best thing. One, I built a website before I had clarity because I didn't know yet what I was really offering. While my website solidifies my credibility, LinkedIn has brought me more work. Number two, I burned out before asking for help. Ask for help so you don't burn yourself out. Number three, I stayed quiet for too long. I waited almost a year before I started sharing my value here. It felt cringe. I didn't want to seem like I was bragging. So what she's saying is here, one, you don't need a website to be legit. That is true. You don't need one, but I do say a website can definitely help, and a domain name is important. I'm a firm believer that domain names are important. You don't need to do it all alone. That is true. You don't need to do these things alone. You can do them with others. Get help. And you don't need to stay silent about your brilliance. This is important. This is so true, everybody. You don't need to stay silent. Everybody, my name is Ramon Ray. This is a brand new edition of the Rundown with Ramon. I challenge you today. Go to Bitdefender, bitdefender.com, bitdefender.com. This episode is brought to you by Bitdefender Small Business. I'm secured by Bitdefender Small Business. You should be too. Bitdefender Small Business. Check it out to make sure that your business does not compromise you. Secure your home at night. Lock the door. You secure your vehicle. Beep, beep. Why not make sure your business is secured? Welcome to a brand new edition of The Rundown with Ramon. Go to zoneofgenius.com right now. Sign up for our email newsletter so you don't miss out on this kind of intelligence. And our email newsletter comes out on a regular basis where we send you insights to help you grow your business. Check it out at zoneofgenius.com. And I encourage you also to check us out in Las Vegas. I'll be at the Entrepreneur Media's Level Up event, entrepreneurlevelup.com, with Robert Herjavec, Kim Perrell, Marcus Lemonis, and so many others. Cody Sanchez and many, many others, founder of Reddit, Alexis Ohanian, and more. Join me there. And if you're looking for an amazing speaker to speak at your event, definitely consider Ramon Ray. Check this out. Does anybody here have a strong why that you wake up and know I can't afford to fail? I can't, because people are counting on me. Anybody with me? Okay. So this is where I wake up every day. People ask me, Ramon, what drives you? Rent? Ramon, what drives you? Eating? That video kind of froze up there, but listen, this has been an episode of the Rundown with Ramon. I'm so glad you're here to join me in it, whether you're watching it live, watching it on demand. Thank you for being here. Kashun, appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Alexandra, Nicole, always appreciate you being here. Spread the word, spread the message that we're here just about every morning, Monday through Friday. The time zones change right now because I'm spending some time with my daughter who's going to give birth in California. So we're on PST at 7:30, but usually on the East Coast, we try to get there at 7:30 a.m. in the morning, but a time zone shift for the next bit of time here. So welcome to the Rundown with Ramon. Glad you're here. Be blessed and have an amazing day. Thanks. That's a wrap. Have a good day. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Don't forget, go to zoneofgenius.com. Sign up now so you don't miss out on all this insight.